Come down this road with me.
Welcome to the Speak Project. Good evening, everybody. This is Speak Up with Tank, and I am your host, Tank. So we have a very, very exciting show today. That theme music and the end music, that is music from my very dear friend, who is a super talented musician and businessman, Jarvis Smith, and he is his band is called the Phoenix Rose, and that is out in stores if everybody wants to get it. But he's got some other amazing songs. He actually wrote that song with Bob Marley. I believe he invokes the spirit of Bob Marley because Jarvis is a deep cat who talks about a lot of amazing things, and he also runs the largest ethical media marketing company in England. So we love Jarvis. We appreciate him letting us use that music. So that being said, Gunnar, are you on the call?
I am here. How are you doing?
Gunnar, I got to tell you, I can hardly hear anything, and your microphone right now sounds like you are whispering in a distant galaxy from me. I can't tell if it's me or if it's actually that way.
Okay, let me see what I can do to fix this.
Yeah, just your mic for me, man.
Oh, you know what? Okay, how's that? Is that better?
Whew. Gunnar, thank God. I felt like I was going insane. I was in the water today, right? And and I am one of these people that when all the adults are sitting around, getting fatter, drinking beer, I'm generally out, moving and playing. And particularly, I love kids, so I was out in the water today, and I was just hanging out in the water. But there's little kids there, and they're dying to play with somebody. And so they had these great water guns in the water, and they were trashing me, right? Like we were having a good time playing these water guns in the water. But they unloaded like a straight beam of water into my ear that was so bad. I thought I was going to go deaf. I'm like, it took me hours to like shake it out. So just now when I couldn't hear you, I'm like, oh no. My hearing is gone.
I knew about that. I was playing with you, Tank.
Thanks. Well played.
Yeah.
Oh man. So we're going to be talking musical alchemy today with Marta Guzman, who I affectionately refer to as Mardi Gras, and she's going to explain to us how the vibration and frequency of the music she creates has the ability to heal and to heal the world. And actually, that's what Bob Marley believed too. He believed that his music was strong enough to heal the world. You could unite everybody just by the music. So we're going to talk about that tonight, and I'm thrilled to have such a positive and encouraging way to kind of start the summer. So, dude, what did you think yesterday, man? I mean, I know you got to have comments about yesterday. What did you think about how the show went yesterday?
Oh, our show. Oh, it was great. I enjoyed it. Yeah. I think we gave the deep state hell. I think they deserve it.
We certainly did give the deep state hell, yeah.
And also all the clueless dinar gurus. They deserve it too.
Well, hey, look, some of those guys, I don't know. I'm sure they mean well somewhere, but all the mean-spirited that people wanted to comment and chime in and trash me, they certainly, but not that they even care, right? I mean, I'm sure they're just, they're sitting around thinking they're important as we speak, and they're thinking how they're going to change things. But you know what? I thought I always appreciate when Kim steps up because she was none happy either. She's the one who actually told me that they were, going in on me after I answered that question, right? And so she came up with, you posted it, right, today, her response?
Yeah, it's up. Actually, Sid put it up earlier, but yeah, it's there. Everybody's welcome to go read it. It's the newest entry in the blog on projectspeak.net.
So running joke that I think most people don't know is when we started the Speak Project / Project Speak, I liked both names so much that Gunnar, very wisely, he went out and bought both names for the website. so you can go to speakproject.net or Project Speak, and we let you call it whatever you'd like.
Exactly.
But yeah, and I constantly flip that around.
Yeah.
But I think so. What Kim had to say, I think, was really powerful. Again, speaks to she really is fearless, and she is of such high integrity. I'm always impressed and encouraged by that. The things she talks about, she's uncompromising. And you know what? The way I feel about it, man, if she doesn't compromise, I'm not going to compromise. And so that's kind of where we're at. And yesterday I did feel a little bit heated. I'll tell you, I'm really very tired of this, the nonsense that goes on, only because people still buy into it. It really makes me sad, man. It's just, I know there's good people out there trying to do good things, and they want to make a difference in the world, but I'm just trying to give you the truth. Now, here's the thing, though. Gunnar, what do you think happens with this? If I give you absolute evidence of everything I'm saying, why? I mean, some of the things that they were challenging yesterday, like the mitochondria in Eve, right? It's like, I mean, that's science, dude. Like, what do you think it is? What do you think the disconnect is?
Well, I don't know. Maybe they think that that mitochondrial Eve or DNA doesn't really exist. I mean, yeah, it is science, but I guess if they can believe that, I guess if they can also believe that the planet's going to be destroyed tomorrow because of global warming, I don't know. I guess that's okay if they don't believe in mitochondrial DNA too.
Man, Gunnar, I think what we should do, I think we should start the show off by you doing tarot readings, man. I think that would be awesome. I have questions I'm dying to ask you about the tarot. The universe speaks to us in many mysterious ways, people, and that's what today's show is about. Is we're going to dive into musical alchemy and really, Mardi Gras has got some incredible. She's actually healed herself with her music, tapping into that 432 frequency. So that should be very, very exciting.
You want to talk to her now?
Yeah, why don't you bring her on? Is there somebody else there who's floating in the background? Because if somebody called in with a question, I'd love to bring them on now.
Well, to tell you the truth, we got two people here, and I'm not really sure which is which. But
Mardi Gras is 508. I believe. Hang on 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, 508 is Mardi Gras.
Okay, Mardi Gras is on now.
Mardi Gras, what's good? Always a party. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Stefan and Gunnar? It's good to see you guys.
I just said it was always a party, and you came on like very serious and very businesslike. Excuse me.
No, I'm just really chill. I just had some English tea, so I have a very deep voice because I've got some pretty bad allergies going on. So I'm just trying to. I had a dog allergy today, so I'm just trying to keep calm. It helps. But so how are you? This show sounds great, and thank you for having me on. It's exciting, and yeah, it's lots of things happening. It's getting hot in here, that's for sure.
Yes, I am very excited to hear about everything that you want to talk about. I'm sure you came with just a bounty of information, and I'm sure lots of people will want to ask you questions. Well, potentially, we'll see. We haven't totally mastered that yet. But Gunnar, hey, Mardi Gras, before we get started, I just want to check. I put down a bit of a smackdown challenge this week to tell everybody who was running their mouth on this website and talking ill of me about some answers I provided for them. So I invited anyone who wanted to challenge me and anything I have to say to come on the show. So I want to make sure, so please bear with me because we might break from time to time. And there's somebody on the call right now from 828. Gunnar, can you
sure
bring them in? So we'll see what they have to say. It's very exciting.
828, you're on the show. Can you hear us?
Yes. Hello, Tank. This is the Doc. And I texted you
Dr.
beforehand.
Ryan.
I wasn't sure
sorry.
if you were. Well, that's okay.
Didn't
Anyway,
mean to out you just now. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Hey, so Doc, are you going to hang around to talk and share some stuff? I wasn't sure if you were going to be able to come on Monday nights.
well, tonight I can. Tomorrow or next Monday is a big question, but I do want to hear what Marty has to say. I'm a very big fan of the 432 hertz frequency. I've gotten a couple of people who are composers of music to switch their tuning to 432 hertz, and it's improved their music, and they have a lot more listeners. They're selling a lot more CDs. So I want to hear all about what Marty's done.
Well, I am so glad you're here. Dr. G is here with us, and this is a perfect show for us to start healing the world. So as long as you're here, Doc. Now, Doc, before Mardi Gras goes in, is there anything pressing that's on your mind? I know you had some things you want to talk about, just so I know we can bring it up now and bring it up later.
Well, the only thing that's on my mind, I can't find your website at projectspeak.net. Maybe I've got the wrong thing here.
You could just try speakproject.net. That should take
Okay. Okay, that one I've got. But you were mentioning projectspeak.net, so Speak Project. Okay, so there it is. I'm on the phone. I was trying to get live on the website, but not having too much success. But I've got you one way or the other, so it's good.
Yeah, we have a bunch of websites, folks, for anybody who's been following the progress. We do have createchange.today, which is KRE, the number 8, the word change, .today, and that is the core of everything that we do, and kind of our core professional group. And then we have a business association, the Guardian of Camelot, which is at gocamelot.com. And you can go there, and we have a working arrangement with Yokoyama Legal to set up trusts for people so that they can successfully, kind of break out of the corporation. And we're working very diligently with that. We also have, that gives you access to the Project Planning Network, which is the Creators Network, which is a completely private social media site where all the project planners can come together from all over the world, and they can discuss the things that are working in Denmark and the things that are working in Hawaii and the things that are working in Hong Kong, and they can all kind of collaborate based on the field of interest and the inventions they have and, permits. And then we have all types of project coordinators in there who are working with people to make sure that everyone's on track. Because we want to make sure, our job is very clear that we don't want to just fund projects, which is definitely what we're doing. We want to make sure that the projects we fund are successful, right? So we want to make sure we don't just give you the money and say, good luck, we'll see you later, you're on your own. We want to give you what you need, and then we're here the whole time, like a teacher that won't leave you alone, right? So we're just there so, as anybody needs anything, we oftentimes have access to technology that could help your project be successful, or might know about certain permits you might need or obstacles you might run into. And our job, what they're very clear on, and I've told everybody on our team, is our job is to make sure you are successful, right? Which is very different from the traditional method of project funding where they give you phase 1 project funding, then they don't ever talk to you again. So, all right, Doc,
question.
Yes,
Project work, is that available through your gocamelot.com website, or is there a separate website for that?
For what? I'm sorry.
The Project Planning Network, is that available through gocamelot.com, or is there a separate website?
Okay, so it's you go to gocamelot.com, and the thing is that everybody in that network has already had a full, thorough background check, because we want to make sure that that is the network where everybody inside of the network is it's a combination of people. It's project owners, but also, if you remember, it can't just be project owners. It also has to include vendors, right? So people that are providing services. So we make sure that those vendors have been vetted, and they're so any vendor that wants to come into a prepared market, right, because these are projects that we are funding, and we make sure that those vendors have been cleared, because we want to avoid giving money back to the Rothschilds and the various dragon families and all the corporations that have owned and controlled everything. So a lot of these companies, we want to make sure that we, the factories and the different places that are going to be, we're going to be doing business with, we want to make sure that we are going in to buy all the pieces, such as, the whole production line from the gold mine to the, the factory and everything else. And we want to make sure that those things are in the ownership of the people, not of some far-off corporation. So all of those people are gathering in that network. And so we want everyone in the projects to do business with those same people. And then also people who just want to help, who don't have a project, we make sure to bring them in as well. And everybody in the tax-exempt, unincorporated business association known as Guardian of Camelot will be brought in under that umbrella. So we want everyone to be outside of the corporate structure, which is not a mandatory structure to do business. Everything we're doing is very legal, and this allows people to kind of step out of that corporate structure safely.
I have plenty of health and wellness projects, so I should be hopping on that as soon as I can here.
Well, Doc, you should have been on that about 6 months ago, of course, yeah. I assumed you had already come in.
I did register, but I can play catch-up here.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine, Doc. There's plenty of time. So, yeah, you should do that right away. Thank you. So, lots to talk about today. Mardi Gras.
I'm here.
Are you ready? Okay, so we got...
Are you ready?
I'm very ready.
Sounds like you got a lot going on, but I know what it is, and that's cool.
Mardi Gras.
Yes, sir.
I want you to tell your story a little bit and tell people who you are, and don't hold back on your many amazing gifts and what you've done.
Okay, well, if you want me to go, I'll go. It's a mouthful. It starts with the Seven of Wands. Okay, it's funny that you, hi Gunner and hi Doctor and all you people that are out there. It's really great to have a voice. And Tank, I want to affirm what you're doing. Thank you so much for doing this. We talked 54 days ago and planned this 54 days ago. And 5 plus 4 is 9, which 432 is also equals 9. So I pulled it's funny you asked Gunner to do a tarot, because you may know that I do tarot. So I drew a reading while you guys were talking. And I got almost every king and queen in the deck. So it's a beautiful thing. The first card I got was the Seven of Wands, which is in the Zen, it shows sort of a guy juggling 7 balls of fire. He's got 3 legs, and he's on a balloon, and there's a little monkey tethered to him is about to pop the balloon. And in the Zen, it's called stress. So you might be juggling a lot of things, Tank. Stefan, I know you as Stefan. Sweet thing. So you might be juggling a lot of things, but we get sometimes we get a break, And so the next card I got was the 5th card, the major arcana of the major arcana, or the trumps major of the tarot, which is the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is someone who has such innate wisdom and knowledge, and that's you. So your first card was stress. The second one is 5. You bring freedom. But in the Zen, it's called no-thingness. So even though you have all this wisdom and strength, you don't even have to say a word. Your power speaks for itself. And the next card you got was the King of Swords. And the King of Swords is mastery of the mind and mastery of knowledge. And right now in the astrology, because music alchemy, when I work with someone, I do their tarot first. I do their astrology first and let them get to know themselves and where their strengths are. And for you, the King of Swords, that's the mind, mastery of the mind. You've got it. And then on the next card I got was the King of Fire, and that's the Creator. So you have consciousness, you have wisdom, you've got stress. Okay, you're coming out with stress. But, we all are in. This is the hottest energetic I've ever felt in my life, and it's like a mixed bag of all these things. Yes, you're juggling 7 things, but you've got consciousness, you've got your wisdom and strength, you have the Creator behind you. This is the source of all things. And the next to the top is the King of Pentacles. That's abundance. Not only is it abundance materially, but you're Zorba Buddha. So you get the good life and you have abundance materially. What could be better? And then at the top of the reading was the Queen of Fire, and that's sharing. And so it's sort of like that big tree, big, huge tree in the park that has these cherries, and some of them have fallen on the ground. They just fell off the vine, not the vine, the tree, and then there's all these just beautiful fruits hanging off of it. And anybody is free to come and take any of those fruits, any of that are falling, and even some on the tree. You know why? Because we are more than abundantly supplied. And then the very last card, the top of the reading, which is what they call the crown, is 20 in the regular tarot would be called the Judgment. But in the Osho, in the Zen, it's called Beyond Illusion. So we're not duped. We're not in illusion. We're not deluded. This is mastery of seeing clarity. And today, Mercury is at 14 degrees Gemini. Do you know what that means, Stefan?
No,
that's my
I don't
Venus.
know.
That's my Venus, and that's your sun. Is today your birthday?
June 3rd is my birthday.
June 3rd. Well, somebody's at 14 degrees Venus. That's Mercury today. And that 14 degrees of Gemini. And the sun's in Gemini, too. So we have a lot of communications going on. And so that was my tarot. I hope you appreciated that.
I do appreciate that very much.
I can't believe I got every king and queen. It was good. I actually went to a alpaca ranch, barn raising it. The barn had burned down, and they were raising money to finish restoring it. And somehow my tarot deck, my Zen tarot, got misplaced, and someone took it home with them by mistake. And I got it back in the mail yesterday from the person who had mistakenly packed it up with their thing. So this is the first reading I've done with my very first deck that I ever got, like 15 years ago. So, and I have a song that I just wrote, and it has to do with what you guys were talking about. And would it be okay if I played it?
Oh, of course. Yes.
Okay.
We love to debut new music. That's amazing. Go for it.
This was just written like out on the amongst the birds. I did put it on YouTube on my Music Alchemy channel, but it's basically just composed. Well, I'll play it for you. We are in a mirror, looking backwards. We are in a mirror, looking backwards. How will we ever know who we are? How will we ever know who we are when we're living in a mirror, looking backwards? We are in a mirror, looking backwards. We are in a mirror, looking backwards. How will we ever know who we are? How will we ever know who we are when we're living in a mirror, looking backwards? And how we do it, how do we know who we are? It's by looking within. And that's what 432, it harmonizes each cell one at a time. It accrues. I've been doing it for 5 years. You know what? I'm a lot better off than I was 5 years ago. But, you know, it takes time, and there's nothing magic about it. Unless you think that humans are magical, which I do think that humans are magical. And the golden mean, also known as the golden ratio, the divine ratio, the divine proportion, because it's what the whole universe is made of. It's the phi. It's the nautilus. It's the sunflower. You know, when you open up a mollusk or a clamshell, it's a perfect heart. I mean, a heart is actually a natural shape. And there's these little flowers at the end of the road here in the woods that are these perfect, hot, pink little hearts. They're amazing. I'm like, see them on a vine stuck in the woods. Nobody even sees. They're gorgeous. Like, this is music alchemy. It just, to me, that's what it is. And I had the opportunity to go to a Memorial Day picnic yesterday, and they had a couple of bands, and they wanted somebody, my roommate wanted me to have, you know, some playtime. So they said, well, if she could play for like an hour before the band start, you know, that would be great. So I didn't say anything about 432. I just played. And I just was like really relaxed. It was such a fun picnic, and it was almost all musicians. And this homestead has just been here for centuries. So it was like really loving. I could feel the love in the place. And I got such a good response. I mean, I just did some Dylan, and, you know, I just kind of really just enjoyed myself. And it turns out the last band that was playing was called 432. And I was like, are you kidding me? And so by the time they got up, they did like this little speech. Their piano was tuned to 432 even, it was electric piano. So it's possible. Sometimes I don't know how they did it. I got to ask them, but it was amazing. And the music was great. And everybody afterward or during the music kept coming up to me going, well, they made an announcement, but what is that? And I explained to them just what I said to you. It's the golden mean. And which is funny how we call the golden rule, like, expect to have done unto you what you do unto others. That's the way I recite it, because that's actually how we remember it, you know, or how we learn it. But so they were nice, you know, but there is no magic pill. And what's cool is that, yes, and if you look on your website, that Project Speak that you announced, Tank, are you still there?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
here.
Okay. Project Speak, it has some slides that I had sent to Azara. And I don't know if you've read any of the materials I sent her, but did you?
I don't know. I read a lot of things and a lot of projects.
Oh, I sent her a PDF of a story called My Pandora's Box, and it was supposed to give you some kind of hints of like what to ask. I don't know.
Oh, you know what? I'm sure, believe me when I tell you, Azara did her job. She is top notch, and all my producers, they're doing an amazing job.
Right.
It's just been a pretty intense weekend, so I thought we were on air together tomorrow, so I almost missed out. So that, you know, I just lost track because the way
I was thinking, I'm like, I don't think, because I waited a long time, I'm like, I don't know if he's on. But let me tell you what happened, okay? So they're playing their music, and afterward, you know, we talked a little bit, but they weren't, like, super nice. I mean, I was like, okay. There was a lot of technical problems, and then they had this ginormous bonfire that almost set the woods on fire, so it got a little exciting. And that's what 432 does. It really does excite you. I have to give my CDs to people and say, disclaimer, don't put it in the car and drive where you don't know where you're going, because you might get lost. Like, literally, it starts to change your frequency. And that's a good thing unless you're super off. Then you want to treat it like a meditation CD. And by the way, I do sell them, so I don't have anything up online right now. I mean, I have actually just pulled everything off because a lot of stuff is being reformatted. I have a dozen records over the years. And this last one, Another Dimension, no coincidences, and there's Blaze, Blaze, Blaze on it. That one is the first one I did in 432 because I've been on stage all my life. Literally, I started playing and singing at 6 years old, and it was music that saved me then, and it continually saved me, whether it was 432 or not. When you're an organic, musical, creative, this is who you are, and the muse has been with you since you were born. You knew you were going to play, or you knew something, and I talk to musicians all the time. They've been mind-fucked, okay? What they did to me was I was recording and writing songs from the age of 4 to 6 on the little family tape recorder, literally writing with a pen or a pencil from the left to the right in perfect English. And then everybody looked at it and said, oh, you're stupid. Well, I just happened to write in the wrong direction, but I was also left-handed, so to me it perfectly suited me. Okay, we're weird, all right? We're odd. We're different because we haven't.
My daughter's left-handed, and I will tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, she is truly, and not just saying this as her father. She is magic. Matter of fact, I've had people, psychiatrists and others, who have taken the time to tell me, just how special she is. And she's left-handed, and she's constantly doing things. And we literally. Generally do crafts together every single day, and she's an artist, and she's always drawing and thinking and creating constantly, and I watch her, and I carefully, consider things through her eyes, the way she describes it, and so I have to say, she'll do the exact same thing. And
she's a gift to you. Yeah, she's a gift,
indeed.
and I've done a lot of study recently on sensitive people because I found that the majority of the adult musicians that I know, a lot of them put their instruments away, or they never really could take it seriously because, as opposed to your daughter who has your support, a lot of us when we were coming up, we were constantly told, you got to do covers, or you were talking about compromise. How many musicians had to compromise their muse just so they could stay alive? And so most of those who went through that, that whole scene of the music industry, which there is none anymore, I don't think there really ever was, but what we're creating is life, and it creates life from within us, and we channel it. We're sort of like the logos. Well, that's what they call it, the music of the spheres. They call music in the Bible, in all the ancient texts, the logos, that's the spoken vibration of love. It creates life. So musicians have wielding in their hands this ability to create life in 432 because it's a whole number. And, you can do any number of searches on 432, but it's a whole number. It's one of the most auspicious numbers. There is people like Jamie Butterf. These are my mentors. John Stewart Reed from the UK, who does work with dolphins. And I met him actually in the Cymatics conference in Atlanta, and people like Marie Renault, who was in the 50s, she was helping Rudolf Steiner begin those Waldorf schools. Those are the most exclusive, they're not the most expensive, but they're most exclusive primary schools for all what we would call the elite. Why? Because it teaches art and tactile, and to bring out the sensitivity, do the astrology of the child. They take the individual and they help them to know themselves and expand on their potentials, their strengths, to how to mitigate and remedy your weaknesses. This is how everyone should be taught. So the Waldorf schools have been doing it for decades, and Marie Renault came out of that whole camp with Rudolf Steiner, and she wrote this book called Intervals, Tones, and Scales. And it's how prime is C is the sun, okay? That's C, all right? That's like the numbers, okay? And then you go
wait.
D.
Okay, slow down. So prime C is the sun.
I mean, yes, that
right.
is the sun.
So and now I believe you told me before that most music is written in an A scale, right?
No,
Normally?
the concert pitch is set at A because that's the universal. That's the universal tone. A is Jupiter. That's our matrix. This is where we live. This is our Earth. And yes, the sun is C, but Jupiter is A, and that's where they changed the International Association for Music Composers. This is one of these international bodies like the UN. They set the standard concert pitch in 1955 officially. But that 440, which is a broken, it's not 440.00, it's 440 decimal. It's a broken number. So when you channel that frequency through your body, you're breaking your DNA one friggin' strand at a time. How stupid is that? We're part of the Earth. We're flora and fauna. Get over it. Golden Age is our frequency.
Wait. Okay. I always want to make sure the very powerful messages that we take the time to really explain why. So let me go into a little bit that I know, and you feel free to add, of course, right? Because this is about what you're looking at. So during World War II, most specifically, you had Nazis experimenting on the various prisoners of the Holocaust. And what they found was, this is how they took Paris. They started broadcasting months in advance in Paris in this 440 frequency. And what they did was they disabled, what they found was the 440 frequency, actually it stagnated natural creativity. It made people more docile and more subservient to take orders. It deafened their ability to create more, in a more outspoken kind of way. In some cases, they described it, if you really knew the history that whoever was being held captive, at some point they were told, you're going to gas chambers, for example, right? They said they were going to take a shower. Now, after all these people had done to stand in line for a shower, and, in reality, it wasn't a shower, it was gas chambers, right? The reason why that was even possible is because they were broadcasting constant messages and propaganda in this 440 frequency. Prior to that time, before World War II, everything was broadcast in a 432 frequency. So that is a natural healing frequency that Mardi Gras is talking about, and that it's also, when you hear live music, usually it's 432. That's why live music is so much more impactful and profound. But it's really an actual healing frequency because everything in nature will vibrate at a different frequency. And what makes the 440 frequency so dangerous is nothing in nature vibrates at a 440 frequency. Therefore, it attacks your body. So that's why you can do research on Dr. Emoto, and you can see Dr. Emoto's water studies, and you can see how the 440 frequency completely contaminates the water and makes it filthy. And at 432 and various other healing frequencies like 528, these other frequencies, what they did is they created these incredible crystals inside the water, and all these amazing shapes, unlimited possibilities, which it's really, the connection between sacred geometry and frequency and vibration, physics and the unlimited possibilities of the universe, all in one basic principle. So, sorry, I just want to make sure to bring that down.
No, thank you for doing that. And that reminded me of what you said at the beginning of the show about compromise. And why don't people, when they get the facts, why can't they accept it? It's because they need to feel it. And why can't they feel it? Because they're not in their bodies. 440 actually Marie Renaud and Rudolf Steiner, who was a colleague of Hitler, they were in the same mystery schools together, and they all knew that 440 was known as the Luciferian frequency. And how they did it?
Four is also the only unlucky number. 4 is the only unlucky number in Chinese numerology. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
sorry,
four is all the numbers are neutral, but yes, I mean, I guess. But what I wanted to say was, how did they do it? What they did initially was they used the country of Germany. Germany has been gaslighted and mind controlled you know, you can look at what happened to them 20, 30 years ago, and then it repeats in the U.S., and that's what they did with the veterans' homes. They did it with everything. Every stage of what happened there in a short term was sort of like a little incubator for what they were going to do long term in our country, and they've basically finished they've done it. What they did was they mailed out to all the schools tuning forks in 440. And then they sent radios to all the homes. Okay, so they confiscated all their property, but they sent everybody radios. Why? Because they were about to broadcast in the 440. So this is why when I first found out about this through Rudolf Steiner, Maria Renaud, which is a book that you can get it on Amazon for $999. I mean, you can't even buy it. They make it impossible to acquire it. But the reason why I contacted this company in Tucson, and she was making tuning forks in 432. In fact, I met a woman last night who said, I have a tuning fork in 432. I said, use it. I mean, most of the people there were my age. And I'm sorry, but it does feel a little hard to believe sometimes when I'm around my peers. Now, some of these people, because music is so healing, musicians age well if they don't kill themselves first.
Right.
But, that's what we need to think about. We need to think about systemically, because every enlightened person, good heart, and I see them and hear them playing in 440, and I'm like, I hear it on the commercials, and every instrument, every horn, every type of alarm was programmed to 440 in this country and around the world. And all the instruments were created in that frequency. That was a gunshot. I'm in hunting territory. So that's what we need to think. So the thinking the workbook that I wrote that has it's a pop-up workbook. So it means it has all the information, then it has a little place with music scales and things. But you can use a kazoo. You don't need a fancy instrument. You just make the sound. It's like when we voice our trauma and it's met with compassion, a compassionate heart to just a hug, that is healing. Anyone can be healed. I don't care how far down the scale they have gone, and we've all been, mind controlled in a way, and but people need to feel these things. So we can talk to them. Yeah, I've really kind of fed up or done with even trying to red pill people at all. In fact, I try to hold back as much as I can. But in the pursuit of just being authentic, I just have to say it. I just have to say how I feel and what I think. And it's not popular sometimes. But you know what?
Well, wait. Here, let's back it up. Let's back it up. So why do you hold back?
Well, I mean, not that I hold back, but you don't want to get into political or, business discussions with people, or even life discussions with certain...
Wait, time. Why? Because I hear that all the time.
People.
I hear that all the time. And what always fascinates me is, you know what, this is what I'm paying attention to because it matters. This is what I want to talk about because it's important. This is what is clear and obvious and evident if you just pay attention. It is the only thing that has the ability to change the world. So rather than be politically correct, which is a mind control technique implemented by the order to make us be polite, because you'll notice, you'll see this a lot of time in a very high society of British culture. They use good manners as a weapon, right? And they'll talk about and do terrible things, not necessarily British people, but the order, but they'll talk about it in such a polite and proper way. That is actually the rules of the order. There's been many interviews where if you're being interviewed and you don't show them that respect, they will end the conversation. To which I say, screw all you guys, because you are not so important.
That's what I'm saying. I respect about what you're doing, Tank, because you give people like me a place to speak up where we're not penalized. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes it's life or death. I mean, not that I hold back. Trust me, I don't. And whenever it's going to be received, like some people, they will literally, they might have a breakdown, and you have to be conscious of what you're doing. You can't just go, well, I have this mantra and I'm just going to tell every living soul I meet. Well, that's not using adult, behavior. We don't just do that. Everybody has the opportunity to have their own experience. And I've noticed the ones that give me the most hard time, that literally will just, have a really, really bad time with it, are the ones that had an opportunity. Usually it's not too long ago. That's the energy I bring. It's like if someone is calling out for some information and they're calling out for more enlightenment or something, it's like somehow I'm driven to their path or them to my path. And we have this conversation. It's like, I had this thing that happened in my mind, a couple weeks ago, and I just thought, wow, the earth is really bigger than I thought, and da-da-da-da. And then cool, and we'll go down a little further in the conversation, and it'll get to that point where they might have to change some of their behavior or give up some of their sacred cows, like alcohol. I mean, wow.
Oh, that's a great
point. Boom. That, it's like that. I don't know what it is. I really don't.
You know what my experience of that is? Mardi Gras, my experience of that, what you just said, is really, I think about this all the time. For the most part, people spend a lot more time trying to make the bad things they do, good for them, versus just doing what is good for them,
right?
Right?
How many times have I heard it's low carbs? My doctor said it's low carbs. I'm like, oh, my God. Your doctor should be shot. I mean, fuck off.
Yeah, your doctor said low carbs, and it's like, well, then stop making bread so delicious, right? That's
they're doing black magic. It's really, low calorie. I mean, okay.
When I was heavier and I had a hard time losing weight, I would do Atkins in the morning, right? So no carbs in the morning, because I could eat eggs and vegetables every single morning. By the afternoon, I was doing the South Beach diet, and by the time nighttime came around, I was doing the caveman diet. It was like I changed all day long because I just couldn't stick with it, and it never worked, obviously, doing it that way, until I finally understood, how food worked in my body, in my personal body. But it's amazing to me.
Very customized.
Well, yeah, but more than anything, to be honest, it's kind of like this very simple, beautiful principle that is often, overlooked or mocked even, is, the act of saying grace, right, like before dinner.
Right.
And I was raised to this day that my parents still say grace. Now, I went a whole different path for 20 years of my life, right, where I thought, that's silly, right, to do that because it's, whatever. And I didn't buy into it. So I was anti-everything. I didn't do holidays. I didn't do, because I was trying to do what I thought was right, But now in hindsight, now I see it, I have a whole new value for that, right? Because what you're literally doing is exactly what you're talking about with the musical alchemy. You're taking the time to thank, the universe, God, however you see that to be, for the energy of the food and the sacrifice that was made so that you could have this meal, and that creates a frequency, right? So that creates a frequency that's very powerful and can literally transmute that food to be better for you.
Yes, because you've created it to be part of your frequency. So when you eat it, it will assimilate so much easier, and you'll digest better. I mean, you're positive, and I mean, you have to look at this food. It's every single plant. Asparagus, doesn't matter what it is, different frequency. You're putting it in your body. You want it to match. So, yes, you put your energy, your intention is that there is, and it's reverence. Did you know reverence and devotion are the highest emotions humans can have? And I mean, what we're doing is we're paying homage to our ancestors that gave us this DNA. This is magical, magical DNA. And I see every human being as that way. Now, they don't always return the favor, but that's okay. Because as long as I know that I have myself to derive this energy from, I'm tethered to the heartbeat. Where does it come from? You know what I mean? These things are ineffable. We don't know. But that doesn't mean that they're like a nihilist, it doesn't matter, or anything is true, da-da-da. No, there are certain things that are true. And true rings different than false. And true, something that is true, that's 432. It will feel different. I've seen this happen. When I started playing in 432, the band, after the first song, we got along way better than we ever did. It's like, why were we fighting before? Or we'd be laughing because it really does. If you get all the instruments, including the drums, key to 432, by the second song, you're all laughing because everything is tingling. It's starting to resonate. It's so much fun. It makes life fun. It makes life loving. We should all be doing it. And it's nothing. It's like they were confused. Like, okay, so the G goes to what? No. You take a tuning fork, you tune A, and then all the other notes, just like standard tuning on a guitar, would be E, A, D, G, B, E. It's not any different. It's just you're changing the 8 cycles, you're bringing it down to where it's a mean. That means it's a whole number. 432.00000. It's a whole number. That means we have 12 full octaves, not 8 full octaves and then a couple of fragments on either side, which is the way 440 does. So we have more capacity. Plus, I can sing for hours. When I was playing in 440 basically all my life, I was in the hospital for laryngitis or having to go to the voice center and do voice therapy and stuff because I played and sang almost every night of the week. And it took, they're doing fireworks. I know, it sounds lovely, probably. I don't even know if you can hear it. Can you hear it? Can you hear the fireworks? Hello?
Oh, okay, so listen, Mike.
Does that make sense?
Here's my it makes perfect sense. It's very logical, as music is, right? It gives you a pattern of operation and execution, right? But here's the thing, Say again?
Music is math. They've proven that.
Yes, music is math, but you know what? The universe is more than just math, right? There's unlimited possibilities. So what in reality, when it comes to healing, right, there is all types of frequencies in there. So I guess what that would mean is like you're basing it from a 432, but you're not limiting the expression of the music itself, right? What
it's supposed to do was this is something that is kind of difficult to explain because the 432 initially for the musician, this is an inside job. So once you harmonize yourself, you're not healing anybody and you're not being healed. There's nothing to heal. All it does is restore you to who you are. And then your presence vibrating at that golden mean. It rocks the boat, yes, but in the good direction. So you become the golden mean in your life. And if more people would try to just do that and not out there trying to be a healer and all this stuff, that's not where it's at. If it's not inside first, that is just a lot of wasted energy and a lot of noise. Because it's not going to do anybody any good. It's going to keep you busy. So I can find myself busy with any number of things. I would rather have anything that I do is authentic first, and then it will radiate out. And if everybody did this, when I first discovered 432, I saw in my vision where all the musicians that we now have actually, what do they call it, the 100th monkey thing? We have a critical mass of awakened individuals, almost too much now. The R3D is not really cannot manage this much enlightenment and awareness. But if we all, the awakened ones, tuned to 432 and sang one song together, I think if we just sang one note together, we would flip this entire universe. This would be phase conjugation. We would create a new star system, and that would be our new Earth. That could happen if everybody tuned to 432, but people thinking it's still the music industry, it's entertainment, it's the battle of the bands. This is how they distract us. Talk about mind control. People do not realize how serious this is and how easy it can change your life. But it's just a sideshow. It's just a sideshow, and that's what's so strange. Is to me, I know it's the logos.
Okay.
That's why the
All
Bible starts saying,
Mardi Gras,
in the
Mardi Gras,
beginning,
Mardi Gras.
God said, "Let there be light." That was a song.
So
yes, ma'am.
hey,
sir.
So 1 second. So, Dr. G, there? Did I lose Dr. G? I just brought him on so he could talk.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
It could definitely be me. So I'm a fan and an advocate of making things, putting things in terms that are practical and they're simple to understand, and they're also they're teachable, and there's something that has a application. Now, you said there's I'm talking about healing frequencies. These are healing frequencies. You're talking about restoring you to your to who you are.
Well, they're really
to me, I don't think those are
it's
different.
Like saying the air keeps us alive because we breathe it. Is that healing because we breathe and we don't die? No, it's the function of our system. And 432 is the function
I would say
of the earth.
if you can't get air, though, no. But if you can't get air, it certainly is. Yes, I would say it definitely is.
Yeah, you're in the hospital. Right. You're getting. Well, yes.
Right.
I guess. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
Sure. But
okay.
But
these kind of artistic, these artistic definitions, to me are they're a big deal, right? Because this is part of the reason why there's so much confusion. And
I know.
I want to make sure it's clear, because when this comes through, what you're saying, I do understand. However, we want to be effective, right? See, this is one thing that I really think lacks in the whole enlightenment movement, even whether it's music or wherever it is, however it's expressed, whether it's alternative media or anything. One of the problems is the clarity, right? So we all get hung up on terms, and then if you're a musician, I played the bass in a gospel band for 10 years, right? Now I'm an abomination to a real musician, but the reason why we did it is because we had this incredible gospel choir, and they were playing the tapes, right? So we all learned how to play music, right, from scratch. So and none of us knew how to play. But just putting the intention, I will never forget this. I announced it one day in a business meeting. I said, we are going to have a band, right? I said, now, we don't have anybody who knows how to play. We don't have any instruments. We don't have the space for a band. I said, but this is when God is at his best. Because in this moment, right now, and now I realize more and more, that is the spiritual reality of who we are. It's emanating from us right now. So I said, this is where, Yahweh is at his best. And in this moment, I said, and we're going to have a band. And the reason why is because we wanted to have a band because the vibration it created was so much more impactful than listening to a tape. We had this incredible live choir, gospel choir, that deserved, that accompaniment.
A real band. Good for you.
Now, do you know that within 30 days, exactly 30 days from that announcement, just by putting my intention in the universe like that, that band it was 6 people, learned how to play one song, and we played our first live song 30 days from that moment.
That's amazing.
Yes, it was very, very loud because we did not know how to control volume yet, but it was accurate. And all we basically did was just point and click to the notes, right? But years later, that band was really successful. Played jazz concerts, really did well, But my point is the vibration that it's created, right? So I understand musicians, and I understand the vibe and the energy you're talking about. So with that in mind, when we talk about a healing frequency, I think it's really important because 432 does, in fact, restore
it does. Of course.
You to who you are. But the thing is that we don't know who we are. Most of us don't even know who we are to try to go back to that, to even know that that's healthy or that that's real.
And you don't need to know. You don't even need to know. That's the thing is, if you just purchase the Tuning Forks, I've got the little book, the little pop-up book, Creating, I've got all my templates and text, and you make it not mandatory, but you send it to the schools. Start with 10,000. It's really,
It's not like you have to convince each individual person. Now, my heart is for the adult musician. That's who if I ever had to have like a charity or whatever, it's not even a charity. It's the adult music, because I see how much they've suffered. Because they were told that you have to compromise to perpetuate this, but by their compromising, they killed their own muse, and they know it. And their self-esteem, their economics, their relationships, everything about that would make you have a life that you enjoyed to live has been compromised due to them having to compromise. Because music, in its general essence, it comes from the person. So if they're having to channel the 440, not only just listen to it, they're getting the double hit. And so it's actually breaking the connection between the left and right brain and the heart and the gut brain and, and all the chakras and everything. It creates disorder and disharmony, obviously, but, we're accustomed to it. Now, through the sheer power of my will, just like through your will, I wasn't playing in 432 when I was, a child, but it was the only thing I could do because of what they did was try to prevent me from writing with my left hand and force me to be a right-handed person. And I know a lot of people in my age group that did have that experience. If they were born left-handed, when they entered school, they were forced to change. Some people, I don't know if it was as traumatic for them. I went mute for 6 months, and I continually had that. The only thing I could do was sing or play or respond to music. I could not even speak for the first 6 months in school because of that event. And they knew they screwed up with me, but immersed me in music. It was probably 440, but it was my savior because it was the only way I could communicate. And I hope others have had that experience. I know that some did not survive so well because they didn't have that experience. They didn't have that life force, and I stayed with it. So 57 now, yes. I've been on stage for 51 years. And that's just been my story. But when I hurt my back, I had to do myofascial release. So these are physical. So it's balance with the physical body because I had to do this. It's like a myofascial release, and I incorporate it with my coaching if I need to. Like if someone is so tied up, because any trauma is going to screw up your fascia, and you can look that up, MFR. If I can unwind them, then it's just a whole holistic process of healing that we're all going through this recovery process. And I actually found a hotel that was like a motel, 27 rooms. That is. Wait!
You can't bring up new topics and not explain them. So
myofascial. Well, I wanted to have a myofascial release. Fascia is what Dr. Emoto talked about and a lot of other people talk about is a fractal network that's under the skin. It's the sinew that connects your skin to your muscles, okay? And that is a water network. It's actually your circuitry, and it's connected. It's one organ, sort of like trees of water channels. And when you have an injury or if you have even an emotional trauma and you tense up, that fascia can get glommed up and it becomes into a knot. And it doesn't unwind itself. That's why massage is so helpful. But myofascial release experts, which I happen to have been under 11 months of treatment of this because of my back injury, it opened up all the channels. I just would bawl. I swear I bawled for 9 months. But it was like I got lighter and lighter and lighter. And when 432 came in, boy, I was ready. And I just was like, I never had to take pain pills. I never got cut on. I don't have any pain. In 6 weeks of using 432, I had no more. I had 4 herniated discs at one time. All the pain was gone. And the older conditions I was talking about was all those emotional things, the depression and everything that I constantly suffered with all my life, and I was on all this medication for. Once I found 432, I was able to let it all go because I didn't need it anymore. I wasn't depressed anymore. I mean, it was like, I don't need this shit.
So this is deep. What you're talking about is really, so myofascial release is a very aggressive massage technique.
It's not. Well, some people call it deep tissue.
No. It is. First of all, I'm very well versed in this. So let me finish.
Yeah,
okay.
but I mean,
first of all, what it really is you are, because there is a group out of Canada who they believe this can change the world. It can restore, regenerate all health in people.
It's a great tool. Absolutely, it's excellent.
So when it's done properly, it is one of the most painful types of massage therapy. Now, it sounds like you did something a little different, but I've been...
Well, I had a woman who was also an occupational therapist first, but then she was an expert. She had a total MFR practice, and it did take 11 months. So it's not something that, and it wasn't really painful. The painful part was the emotional releases. I felt these things leaving me, and it felt, because the way she did it was with these big rubber balls. She used my own body weight and pressure to do things. I never got bruises. Now, regular traditional massage, I do get bruises. Chiropractic, sometimes I do get bruises. I'm very sensitive, I'm just princess in the pea. Always have been. But with her, I never got bruises, and I never had physical pain. There were sometimes when it was really deep, it felt really intense, but all it did was it released the emotion, because it's almost like the trauma, whatever was happening and whatever emotion happened during that trauma was stored in that big wound up, glommed up mess of fascia. And when she started to unwind it didn't happen overnight. These things take time. We have to be patient and very gentle with our bodies. I mean, I'm a steward of this body, and I can't fuck her up. And if she needs me and she needs to cry, it's my honor to give her as much liberty as she needs. I never gave that to myself, and no one in my life ever gave it to me. And that was the problem. Once I saw her and gave her the devotion and reverence that she deserved, that was my inner child, this inner essence that had always been suppressed and compressed, from school and everything else. And once I gave myself that liberty and saw myself as important, that little child, I did my own little role play, right? Saw her as this little child that's huddling in the corner crying, because that's how I felt. But I'm an adult woman standing there, no one knows. This is all happening inside of me. It's all internal. So I took it outside of my head and just imagined her as this little girl in the corner. And of course, you can cry if you are her. And of course, I was there. I remember those horrible things that happened. I'm sorry that happened to you. Tell me your story, and just hug her and give her the love. And that's what I still do that. I still have to remind myself, remember, you're the steward of this body and of this internal soul. So that's my responsibility first and foremost. And if I don't take care of that responsibility, I'm a hypocrite going out there trying to tell anybody else how to take care of themselves. So that's what the Music Alchemy helped me to own it. And when I owned it, okay, maybe I'm qualified to be a healer now. I don't really like the term, but I'll use it. Whatever helps people to open up to themselves. That's what I want to encourage, because I feel like that is, if they don't have that, then they're kind of being a hypocrite going out and trying to fix the world. Well, what about your house? It's a mess. Why don't you do the dishes? Why don't you repair that chair? The leg's been broken for years. Clock on the wall doesn't work. Sweep the floor. I mean, how about a bath? Trying to get people to take a bath. I mean, if you take an Epsom salt bath or a salt water, no, you get a bag of sea salt and soak in the bathtub, your electrical energy discharge will kick in. And then, sometimes I forget that, but I'm reminded whenever I get the pain, right? You go right back, like, what was I supposed to do? And pick up the guitar, And that's, I guess that's what I meant by, it's just nomenclature, the languishing language of English. I call it English.
But here's the thing, though. I talk to people about this all the time, and I'm very big on this, because words were designed to disrupt our natural vibration and frequency of communication with one another. So
absolutely.
Now, if they're used the wrong way, what inevitably happens is exactly what you're talking about. They disrupt the frequency. So the nomenclature and the rhetoric that we use is very important. because we always want to make sure that what we're saying is exactly what we're trying to say.
Well, right. You want to know that what you're saying is what you mean, but it's not that you can use words. Well, for me, I don't see it as using words the wrong way. I say that when you're using the English language, just realize it's built for conflict. We've got this language is literally built to bring, competition and division. So just understand that. Have compassion for yourself that, okay, I said it the wrong. Well, no, you didn't say. You're using the language you have at your fingertips. This is what we have to work with. So just understand that, and
I think that's a great point, because it sounds to me like in a lot of ways what really helped you heal was your self-talk and the narrative you tell yourself, which I think is the most important story that we tell, because what we tell ourselves is what becomes reality. Are the words we use to everyone else is just a reflection of how we feel about ourselves.
Or maybe how about just to listen to how you talk to yourself, not judge it, because we're so busy judging and comparing. Self-loathing is a real danger. You have to be careful because, like you said, I mean, we do have a language that's sort of weaponized, and I'm sorry if that disturbs anybody, but I believe that to be true. So. If that's the case, then just listen to yourself. Listen to what you're saying. And sometimes it's really hard because you've got a lot of media going on. And then sometimes the things that are going on in your head are just, you're reiterating maybe a song that it's like an earworm now and you can't get it out of your head. So, not that, you know what I mean? But just your actual self-talk. If you can stop and listen to it, then you'll know what it is. But just, I had a negative thought, and then judging yourself or beating yourself up for doing that. Well, that's just natural. We were surrounded by all kinds of impulses. I mean, just look at the news. It's all emotional overdose. So anybody who watches or walks by a gas station and has a TV screen, you're going to hear these things. So, be gentle. But, the bull in the china shop. And we really can do damage in the china shop. What I'm saying.
So what do you recommend? What's the practical application of what you're talking about in general? So, I think you talked about a lot of things.
Now I get the tuning forks into the school, get the workbook created, and just start disseminating it, and then give people and start to get all the musicians, the adult musicians, need to be gathered, and then we will be the the healers, I guess you could say, which is how it should be anyway, because the musicians have the logos. So if they're creators and you can train everybody to play in 432, then you'll have full employment for all musicians, which wouldn't that be wonderful? Just that alone would probably flip our society, and people wouldn't know what hit them because the musicians are so potent. They're the sensitive ones. They're our conscience. They're our heart and soul, and we need them to speak. But they've been told they can only repeat Tom Petty and this and that, and they can't speak their own voice. So they're very reticent to speak up and be the original creator that they actually always were, because they don't know that it's welcome yet. The welcome mat is. I want to lay down the welcome mat.
I don't agree. I don't agree that anyone else is my conscience, but I understand the principle you're.
No, I mean, since I'm talking collectively. No, I know that. Of course not. I mean, collectively.
But but it's really interesting. In New York City, before Giuliani was very much an advocate of the arts, and so before the towers fell, artists, musicians in New York City, they could make a great living. I mean, they made six figures just, playing on the subways. And it was really amazing to come to New York because you'd come and every place you went, it was just alive with music.
I know.
And the whole city
Where did everybody
really just
go?
Well, it got shut down, right? Because once the towers fell, they made it all, Bloomberg came in and made it all illegal, right, to do that. And everybody had to have a permit, and, and they just... you try to make musicians.
But I mean, is that really the solution? Yeah. Yeah, I just, I don't know. I mean, what do you suggest? That's what I've been, I do one-on-one, and I do workshops, and,
I think there's something to be said about, using tuning forks at a 432. And, I've been actively looking for ways to, create, peaceful resistance to what's going on. And I really think there's something to be said. If you could grab 1,000 people who all had a tuning fork to 432 and they were walking on the streets of Manhattan, you would have, literally, you could change the entire vibration of the world right from there.
Well,
so I think that's a great idea with the tuning forks.
well, I mean,
I don't think it's
might
wise
as
to
well
in the
do
schools.
it the way they did it. Huh?
I'm sorry, say again?
No, what did you just say?
I think that sending them to schools would just be like sending them to the void. I mean, if you understood, how a school operates.
But if it was part of the curriculum, well, not
yeah,
but that's that there are now.
First, you got to change the curriculum. I mean, that's a whole different animal you got to fight first. So,
well, isn't that what we're going to have to do?
Yes, but I'm not talking about doing that eventually. I'm talking about right now. What can we do?
Yes. So
right now, I can start a movement to get people to start purchasing a tuning fork to 432. I mean, that's something we could do. Right? I'm sure I could find a company that would be willing to give us some kind of bulk order, and
that would be
that's
great.
something we could do
because
right now.
In Athens, where I did an incubator, we had jam sessions, and in 432, and we also had, it was a theater bar. There was a Reiki studio. They rented it for Reiki and yoga on one side. The other side had, just the students coming in for bar. So we'd have open mics. And within, 9 months or so, we had 700% increase in open mics in this college town in 9 months.
Well, so for anybody who doesn't know,
the public jam sessions, but also the school, Music Alchemy Academy, is where, the adult musicians are given the attention, not necessarily the kids. These are adults that need to be retrained. You can't just give them a tuning fork. They're not going to know. You know what I mean? They have to know how it feels. So you need to work with people. That's what I do.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. So, for those of you who don't know, part of the reason why Mardi Gras and I started speaking is because the Speak Project is designed when we, ultimately expand and we set up a network, is that everything will be broadcast in a 432 frequency, right? They'll be broadcast in healing frequencies that really allow the message to resonate with that part of people that makes them feel alive and helps return them and restore them to their natural, energetic, true self. Yep. So we're very much in line and agree with that.
That's a beautiful way to say it.
I'm trying. Now, hey, Dr. G, are you there yet? Did you come back? I lost my Dr. G. I was hoping he had something to say about this. So, Mardi Gras, so let me ask you about this. So, we use some devices. We use an AO scan. We also use a bioscan. And these tap into rife frequencies, right, that actually are healing frequencies. And they've, Rife basically mapped the human body to know what the optimal frequency was for each, portion of the body. And these scans are incredible. I use them. Matter of fact, yesterday, there was a 6-year-old who is in my daughter's kindergarten class. Oh, no, it wasn't yesterday. It was before I left. It was last week sometime. And last week, I went over to the kid's house, and he had strep throat. And I used a frequency device, a bioscan, and healed him from his strep throat in about 12 hours. So
yeah, from what
amazing,
I understand about those is that it maps it matches the frequency of that illness, and it's a reversal. It's a reverse polarity. It completely knocks it out. That's awesome.
Well, you know what? It's amazing. It actually has been proven to be about 70% more accurate than an MRI. But an MRI is only, able to diagnose, but the bioscans are actually able to diagnose and treat.
Right. That's great.
So you can identify it, and then it changes it and spits it back out a better way. So that's pretty amazing when you think about it in those terms. So
Yeah.
it's the same principle of frequency, right? And you know what I always do?
432 is associated with music. That's why. It's the creation of music. Like that bioscan is absolutely necessary. I mean, every organ in our body, it's not called an organ but for no reason. These are sounds. They each have their own frequency.
Like right.
And so of course, but when you're a musician and you're creating music for the standard of an orchestra in some other country, and it's not resonant to your actual body, you're going to damage yourself. So stop doing that. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting myself. I don't know why, but it really is. It's a joy. It brings joy.
So that's in line with what you're. So one of the things I've been saying, you tell me if this is right, but I often tell people this is that, after I adjust the frequency, what I'll do is I'll give them certain binaural beats or something to that effect. But one of the challenges is you don't know it. They can put any beat in there, really. So unless you know how to test it, you don't know if it's a good, true frequency or not. To maintain their frequency. So how would I test that frequency to know that it's right?
What frequency? Like the bio thing?
Yeah, like there's all types of binaural beats.
You would have it. There's lots of charts. I can send you some if you want. That have all the different frequencies of every single organ and every type of disease, and there's plenty of information out there of what those are, and then you look up the serial number of the machine you're using and find out what each one of those dials is, what the actual reading is of it, and then you match it to the chart based on what the person's reporting
but the bioscan I've already checked out. But what I'm more curious about is, for the common listener right now who's just looking for ways to help their general health, right? They might go online and pull up a binaural beat.
Well, you can download those. I don't know about those. I've used a lot of them. I use a HemiSync that is sort of like just a visual thing, but it's also like a tone. I mean, there are a lot of charlatans out there. You can't just pick up anything. I mean, you can if you want. I've tried a lot of different things, but the main thing is the intention of your heart. If you really are, your intention is good and you mean to do good, then you will find good. So you don't have to be afraid of being duped about something else, unless you're running after a dogma and you want somebody to rescue you. It's about you. It's about the person, and your heart is in the right place, and you have the intention. There's always a remedy. There's always, even in the darkest space, there is a speck of light. If you follow that truth, that's true for you, you will find your way out of that dark place. We can't be afraid, because the fear it shuts us down. We can't be afraid to go out there. And maybe trial and error, I don't know. I mean, for you, I'm not really exactly sure what it is you're asking, but that was my response.
Well, what I'm asking is this: people want to adjust their frequency. Part of that can be assisted by what they're listening to. Now, if they go online and they start there, which most people are going to, they can look up 432 as a frequency. Now, how can they be sure that that frequency is actually a 432 frequency? Is there a way to do that?
Well, there's all kinds of apps you can download. There's Panometer that will show you what the frequency is. If it's a person who's just an everyday person, I would get a download, on a device, or you can get actual tuning forks, or you can get just a regular guitar and tune your instrument and just play with that and let it harmonize you first, so you can begin to get discrimination faculties. You can't have your brain working and being able to discern these things until you're in harmony physically yourself. So if there's physical issues going on, examine your diet. A lot of it has to do with diet and clean water. It's got to be structured water. That means it's a spiral. I try to get just spring water right out of the ground whenever I can, and generally at findaspring.com, If you put in your zip code, it'll show you all these users that have uploaded spring water that's around you. That's very well known that spring water is structured water. It comes out of the ground. It's a spiral. That will harmonize your physical body and cleanse you. So you want to do that. I used to drink distilled water because I was in an area that didn't have springs. So, I do what I can. Where
structured water and spring water you're talking about, you said it was a spiral. So for anybody who wants to do that, you can actually structure your own water. In fact, you can actually stir your water one direction, and then for like 10 seconds, and let it settle, and stir your water the other direction, and let it settle, and that'll generally structure your water. Yep.
And who taught me that was Jamie Butler, who was also the first person that I learned 432 from. He also makes a water thing that, creates structured water within it. It sells the minerals and stuff like that. Basically, sea salt, salt water is the same. That's what they use. They use for intravenous and plasma and whatever. Salt water is saline solution. That's what they use for transfusion. Because we're the same frequency, we're the same mineral content of salt water. So if they can interchange it to that ought to tell you something. But that's just the beginning, you know what I mean? It's like we are a whole person. We're living on the 3D. I'm not saying it's easy. But in order to begin a process of being in harmony with your own self and being able to harmonize your thoughts, feelings, and your physical want to. You have a desire, and you don't, and sometimes those desires are like you said, we want to justify the things that we know are bad for us, and somehow, so we're in discord there. You can already tell just by the whole thing. You want one thing, but you really know better kind of thing. So when you begin to harmonize that, the salt water, watch out for your food. There's all kinds of crap in food. Sunlight is food.
Well, so what are some examples? What are some examples of high frequency food or food that would be naturally harmonized to our bodies?
Well, considering there's a lot of acidic things, I do begin the day with sunlight and spring water. I do as much early sunlight. First half an hour, I get more than I get as much sunlight as I can. And whatever, if it's a sun simulator, I don't give a crap about any of that stuff. I know when I get up and there's the first light of the sun, that is food to me. That I don't have to really eat as much as it's amazing how much people eat. I don't really eat that much, because I don't need to. And I don't sleep. I sleep maybe 5 hours at a time, and I'm up for maybe 10 or 15. It's just that's how I'm wired, because I just keep it really light. And so the foods that I eat, I will alkalinize my body right away with lemon water and a little bit of cream of tartar, like a half a teaspoon. That alkalinizes my system right away. So if there's any acid shit that I ate the day before or whatever, you don't want diseases to grow, and they'll grow in an acidic environment. So I alkalinize, especially if I'm not feeling so good. I'll definitely make sure I do it at least once a day, sometimes twice if I'm not feeling it. But then after that, I'll have, French toast, pancakes. I'll eat anything. I really eat just about. I don't eat meat generally. Occasionally, if I feel puny, I'll bless a steak and I'll eat it, because or skin. I like the collagen because I lost 80 pounds, so I have kind of baggy skin in certain places, so I have to eat collagen. So sometimes I'll eat chicken skin or something like that. So it's not a dogma, like if I tell people I'm a vegetarian, oh my God, and I eat a piece of chicken, they'll pass out. It's me, not you, what's wrong? They're just so used to people being so dogmatic about vegan, vegetarian. I really could give a crap. I don't have time for that kind of stuff. I just want to feel good. So that means I have to be, mindful of the stewardship of this body. If it needs something, I'm the only one that can give it to that person. Unless I deny myself, I end up in a hospital and I got to get, intensive care. That's complete denial of your own needs for a very long time. And I don't want to get there. So I make sure if I'm, 432 came first, okay? Obviously I had a really bad accident in my back, and the therapy unwound the fascia. So I coined it balance, energy, power. achieved balance, and that gave all the chakras ability to move, and then that restored my physical strength, which enabled me to pursue the spiritual things that were so confusing. But the physical thing really drags me down, and I find that people who are unhealthy or they're drinking out of plastic all the time, get rid of all your plastic. Just, get a big water jug and fill it up. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if these things.
Well,
I know in my life,
drink out of glass. Drink out of glass because
exactly.
For anybody who doesn't know, Lisa Thomas and I are going to talk about this tomorrow night. But BPA is actually designed to cause impotence and infertility. So the reason why it's out of tune with your body is because it's causing you to be something you're not. So it's very wise advice on your part to tell people to get away from plastic. Try to drink. Stop buying plastic bottles. Go out and get a copper-lined water bottle or a glass water bottle like that.
Glass jars. Buy your food in glass jars, and you got instant glass jars. Buy a gallon of unfiltered apple juice. There's a gallon jug that is going to cost you $10 to buy an empty jug. I mean, I reuse stuff all the time. I try to buy as much stuff in glass so that I have an endless supply of glass jugs with lids. You're good to go. Got your water bottle.
Yep, that's very true. Stop using microwaves and keep glass containers to store your food. All those things. I'm in total agreement. The more I see all the different ways they have tried to chemically castrate us and just demolish the human spirit. That's the truth. They've emasculated the entire men. I mean,
I know it's so sad, babe. It is. It's like a Band-Aid on cancer. But I know that there's people like you. There's people like me. I try not to even look at the at the 3D can be downright terrifying sometimes. But that's where we live. So it's almost like I'm wearing culottes, and I've got like this butterfly thing on my culottes, and I've got this butterfly jacket.
Culottes look like shorts that look like a dress, right?
Right, but they're real puffy, okay? And I've got my little slippers, my little elf slippers that I always love, and I've got this like butterfly jacket and everything. And I look like a complete and total
in my experience, there's nothing that makes you look more preppy than elf slippers. I feel like the whole outfit's not working. I throw on the elf slippers, I'm like, bam, what's up? I love it.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so I just letting your freak flag fly. And that's all I can. That's my resistance, is just to be so fucking unabashedly me. Let the chips fall. Because they're going to fall away, and what's going to be left is me. So I have nothing to lose by just being me, and everything to gain, because every time I win that little battle within myself of, be small, be shy, every time I win that battle, then I'm strengthened. My Wheaties, and I feel like, okay, I'm ready to be me in the next time. It's just like, it's like 432 at a cruise. You build up your esteemable things. I call them squirrel nuts. If you can, put some squirrel nuts in the bank, then when you need them, you got all these squirrel nuts. So doing esteemable things, which, builds self-esteem. And esteemable things is when I listen to my body and I take care of her, because she's depending on me. No one else has that job.
I really think that's an art form, by the way. And I think it's a very necessary, it's a very essential component of really living a vital life. Deepak Chopra talks about, walking up to all-you-can-eat buffet, and before you make a decision based on what your program that you normally like, to just take a second and listen to your body and see what you're drawn to. And once you learn to listen to your body, and you can understand when things are off, or when you feel great or whatever, and the more you listen to your body, the more you're able to make decisions that are in harmony with not only who you currently are, but who you are at your very best state, and who you want to be. So I think that's great advice.
And that's why, using 432 on a daily basis, well, it's not something you have to think about, and you can't fix yourself from your mind. It has to come from inside. And if you're using 432, then you can begin to put in order and in a straight line, not out of the side. You see people that talk out of the side of their mouth or their face, It's like, they ain't telling you the truth. If they can't just speak straightforward, they've got to be sarcastic, they've got to avoid things, they've got to say this, and, here's the birdie, and, you know what I mean? That's just discordance. That's all it is, discord. Okay, discord. A chord is a number of notes played at once. Okay, but that chord is in harmony with itself. C, G, E, those three notes are a trine, a triad. It's harmony. It feels very positive and light, and it allows energy to flow very easily, just like a trine in astrology. Let's say if you got 3 earth signs, you got Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus, and all 3 of them, you got an 8 degrees, planet at each one of those earth signs. In that person's life, they'll probably be a farmer. They'll be very stable. They'll know how to sew. I mean, the salt of the earth is the rock of Gibraltar. A trine is a very easy energy. It's an equilateral triangle with lots of movement. It's a beautiful thing.
So, okay. So
you want to create the monad. That's you. That's what's you inside. 432 will help you harmonize that. And then you can begin to just tinker with all the other things because you'll be in a straight line. Then you can begin to use your mind. Then you look at your feet. Where am I? I mean, we're so in the clouds, we don't even know where our feet are. This is where your work is. Look at your feet. Keeps you grounded because it's the same frequency as the earth. So you're going to be more grounded. Yeah, you can take your shoes off and you can plug into you can plug yourself into the electric ground, in the wall, and ground yourself. Or you could just tune yourself and tune your physical instrument.
Yeah.
The way to do that.
Mardi Gras, you started off this show, and I got bumped off for a second. And when I came back on, you were doing a tarot reading, and I feel like I missed the first part of it.
You did.
So would you mind going back over that for me quick, or can you?
Are you serious? Of course I can, but that's funny. Well, the first card was the 7 of
wait.
fire.
I'm sorry. So what did you pull? What did you pull this for? What do you? I mean,
well,
don't you put
you
it
were asking Gunnar to do a tarot reading, and I'm like,
oh,
I
cool.
just got my tarot cards back. So he acted like he didn't know what you were talking about, and I'm like, well, I've got my tarot cards. So I just shuffled, and I didn't know if I was going to do a tarot reading. I wanted to play a song. I really wasn't sure which one, but I just wrote that, so I wanted to do that. But the reason I did the tarot was I wanted to see what the energy is. It shows you, because we're nearly blind. We only see 0.07 or something of the visible light. We don't see any of the other of the light spectrums with our physical eyes. So there's, at least 99% of shit there. and it's air, earth, water, fire, ethers. I mean, it's a lot of substances and minerals and materials. But we don't know what they are. We don't see them. So how do you know? Well, that's where because I've centered the monad, when I draw the tarot, I can see what energy is there.
Oh, okay.
And I can do the same thing with the I Ching. The I Ching is a Chinese divination tool that is a 64 pairs. That's matrix. That's the binary code. It's also our DNA. So it's a matrix hack. And I've been studying it for 25 years, so I finally figured out, that this is showing me the matrix. I had no idea what it was doing. I've been reading it for 25 years, but every year I gain more understanding because it's showing me more and more of what is not visible to me because I'm nearly blind, and I'm asking it with reverence and devotion to all the energy that's here. To me, there's nothing, some people think that's, magic, or it's the user, okay? It's about the user. It's about the person. It's your intention. If you have a tool and it can show you something that you need to, like I could sense not your anxiety, but the scatteredness of all the holiday weekend, and there was a lot of, and you said, oh, you sound so serious, and I thought, oh, maybe, do I sound depressing? That's kind of why I interpreted it, and then you went off and you were talking to Gunnar and doing all these other things. So I asked the tarot, show me the energy. I kind of got thrown off for a second, and I'd like to, because I had a certain thing in mind, and, I was waiting for the show to start and everything, so I, how do I know? I'm just sitting there on the porch.
Okay, well,
so
you break it down for me in 6 minutes?
Yeah, I think I can do that. So the first card was the Seven of Wands. Wands is fire. 7 is a guy trying to kind of navigate on top of a balloon, and there's a monkey there about to pop it. So, there's all these, it's stress. It's called stress in the Zen. Okay. I use the Egyptian tarot, but I also use the Zen. And the Zen, it describes the 7 of Wands as stress. And there's a monkey about it. I mean, he's just juggling a lot of things. It showed me where you were at. You're juggling. There's 7 balls of fire that you're juggling. And there's a monkey under you just about to pop and you're like, geez, I hope I can, well, yeah, you got a lot going on. That's basically all that I was seeing for you. And then the next card I got was no thingness. That's the Hierophant. In the Egyptian, the Hierophant is this like a apprentice priest. Okay, he's like a priest sitting on a throne, and he's sort of initiated. He's become his own master in a way. He represents wisdom. But no thingness means that everything, it doesn't mean nothing. It means that the material 3D things inevitably really aren't the important thing to focus on. It's what you're trying to do is create a new structure to people having access to tools where we should have had all along, but we didn't. So you're stepping in and you're like, okay, I'm going to bring this cornucopia of amazing things. You had a bishop on. You had a guy who's making 3D houses. I mean, I'm addressing these adult musicians who do not know that what they're doing is harming themselves, and they can completely change that by just reducing that cycle by 8 cycles per second. Okay, your next card was consciousness. Consciousness, where'd she go? I got a bunch of kings and queens, too, which was so crazy. Here's the consciousness. Okay, it's the King of Swords. And the King of Swords is also known as consciousness. So you're addressing the collective. You're like a king, okay? I mean, not to go to your head, but you are. You're kind of like a king in that you're a leader, okay? So that's basically, and it's of the mind, consciousness. The swords is about words. It's about your mind. It's about how you think about things and how you're processing information. So you're a master at that. The next card I got was the Creator, which is the King of Fire, the King of Wands. So, yeah, you've got the 7 of Wands. 7 is about spirituality and intelligence. So you're having to deal with spiritual things, people talking and family and all the stuff around you, and then the stuff on the radio every day. So you've got your hands full. But you also have the King of Wands. It's almost like you have all these celestial helps, guardian angels, whatever you want to call them. Some are male, some are female. The male is the fire essence. That's the initiation of fire. So the King of Wands, okay? Then you got the King of Pentacles. That's Zorba Buddha, and that's how I see you. You're hanging out in the limo and stuff, and you're like, the king of consciousness. On top of that, you're spreading life. So that's a really good thing. I mean, they call him Zorba Buddha, but the king of pentacles basically is the essence of material abundance. That's material things, that's property, the land, earth, money, creation in a tangible way. And that's mastery. This is like incredible. I got all these kings and queens. And you got the queen of wands. That's that fire. She is like that huge tree that's just bursting with fruit. And anybody no one will go hungry because there's so much abundance. And that's also in the fire. Fire is a spark of life, the spark of divinity. And the queen is sharing it. I'm sort of bringing this as a queen of fire. This is to jumpstart humanity. And it's a very simple thing. Tune to 432, just practice with yourself, get a couple of hours accrued, and you begin to relax because it's a feeling. It's the difference between surround sound and mono on the little crappy radio. The surround sound is actually going through your body, whereas the 440 is just kind of skimming the ears and the head, and it hits your lower chakra. It kind of goes to the top and to the bottom. So when they do the cymatics plates, they'll have the same shape. Let's say they do A in 432 and A in 440. It's the same hexagonal kind of swirly shape, but at 432, all the endings are connected. It's very full and connected. The 440, you can see the outline, but the edges are not connected. They're just not touching. So there's no there. There's no connection. Even though we feel good, it's what it's doing. It's hitting the lower chakras, the emotions. That's why the news is all emotional instead of facts anymore, because the facts are going to piss people off. Are you there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I just heard like a big scratch. The facts are just, they're going to piss people off. So they're just hitting the emotions so they can keep everybody in fear and distracted. That's those lower chakras. Those are the things we need to cleanse. And the upper chakras is how we feel. And that's what 432 doesn't get you back in touch with that. So I think it's very important. Of course, I bridge it with astrology and tarot. Okay, so you had the queen, you had the king, you had consciousness, you had another king in pentacles. So basically a bunch of kings and queens, and you're stressed out, and, there's a remedy for that. Just like, take it easy. You're great. Keep it going. So that was it. That was all it was.
That was outstanding. Thank you so much for recapping that for me. I really enjoyed having you on. I learned a lot, and I'm sure that our listeners, both now and in the future, will have learned a lot as well. And I'm certain we're going to be working together in the future and, expanding on your vision. And thank you so much for coming in, and I will talk to you very soon. And I'm going to close things out.
All
Have
right.
a good night.
Take care, sweetie.
All right, everyone. That does conclude tonight. Hopefully you realize the value of life and music through the 432 frequency, and you can take that and incorporate it into your life and make your life a better place, and hopefully find the best version of yourself. We are in a transitional moment in history. We are in a transitional moment for all humanity. It is the most essential time, the most essential moment that you've ever been in, and that is this moment right now. Because this moment right now is the only time you've ever had the opportunity to change anything. In fact, your entire life, the only time that ever mattered was the now moment that you have been in. Now, with that in mind, we are approaching and actively flying through into higher frequencies and to better places, and the world, for the very first time, at least in our lifetime, we have a chance as just regular human beings to take control and actually create a better world. Now, the secret is we've really always had control, and we're going to learn how to access that more completely, like Tui said on Friday, as we better understand the mana or the life energy or the divine spirit that is in all of us. And we are able to take that and create a brand new world. Now, in this world that we create, my request to all of you is let's make a world that is based in love, that is building from a place of perfect harmony, where we can actually have a place where we can trust each other again, where we can love one another again, where we look at the diversity and the differences between all of us, and we recognize those things should have never divided us. In fact, they are what makes humanity so amazing and so incredible, that we can bond with each other over the things that are different, because I don't want someone else who's good at the things I'm good at. I'm already good at those things. I'd rather have somebody who's good at other things, and then together we can make a more complete and active community and revitalize the entire planet one group at a time. And that is the opportunity that is in front of us. Now, to get to that end place, we have a very, very formidable opponent who is on his last leg, who has been taken down a notch. And we're finally witnessing right in our own government how this is playing out, because you're seeing them finally come out and say the words we've all known were true all along, that there are those who are guilty of treason. And instead of just sitting back, they're actually calling them out for that treason. Now, that is an incredible moment we are in. So now is not the time to back down. Now is not the time to be afraid. Now is the time where we finally get to stand up in the face of evil and say that we are no longer going to be your slaves. We are liberated. We are sovereign, and you will not take our sovereignty under any circumstances. And to do that, we cannot retreat, and we cannot surrender. And that's the moment that we're in.